Good afternoon, hello, good evening, good morning, everyone.
And good night.
Welcome to Soul Speak.
Oh,
Today, we are
yeah,
talking about
about
the angry Black woman.
dun dun dun.
All I'm gonna say is expect this to be yet another rant, pun intended, up in this piece.
Yeah.
Because I really do have a lot to say about the angry Black woman. So much so
Mhm.
that I don't know that I will get to say anything. So, welcome to Soul Speak with Rachel and Grace, Grace and Rachel. Our podcast Instagram is Soul Speak _ podcast at Instagram. I was gonna say .com.
Yay!
.com,
No, you
really.
got it right today.
All right. So, the angry Black woman, my dude.
Yo.
Um, do you want to tackle it first, or you go? Should I? What
I
should
think
we
you've
do
got a lot
here?
on your chest, and I will interject in the middle
Okay.
and then come in with my thoughts.
Okay. So the angry Black
Go for
woman.
it.
I'm gonna just come and speak freely as myself, Rachel. So I have not yet seen this particular subject handled in the wholeness that it requires. The one person I have seen that handled this well, the subject of the angry Black woman, is Ian Van Zant. And I'm going to say, because whenever I hear about the argument of angry Black woman, it's either no, we're not angry. We are, I didn't raise my voice. I didn't, use angry words. And we all know that you can display anger without doing those things. Or the
Mhm.
other argument is, of course, we're angry. My issue with how this has been handled is, I think,
Mhm.
when a certain group is displaying whatever, why ought to be the question asked first. And I'm not saying, that I am not guilty of not asking why when why has been necessary in other areas, but why? So the angry Black woman, um, I do believe, yes, we have the the issue of angry Black woman. And the reasons why is, for me, what's so pertinent. Why do we have the angry Black woman? So that is what I am posing here today. You got anything to say, Grace? Because literally I could go all up in.
What I would add to that
Mm-hmm.
is not just having those two opposing sides. For me, what struck me was the space in between, the umbrella, I would say, of why not? Why is it that a Black woman cannot be angry without it being a thing? That's what I would say.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, you can say you're not angry, but why is it that you have to justify yourself and try to make everything neat, tie it up with a bow just to not get the backlash from said group? Or why
Mm-hmm.
do you have to be on the other end saying, I'm angry because of this and this and this and this, and you need to listen to this? Well, I first and foremost think there needs to be a safe space where it's okay for a Black woman to be angry or not, just like it's okay for someone else to be vulnerable and showcase any type of emotions they have without being questioned about who they are and why they feel the way they feel. And
Mm.
then we can get to why is it that you feel angry today, Rachel?
Okay, so for me, okay, I think the case of the angry Black woman, like it's specifically like sticking out. I think that is a thing, and I think that it deserves, like, that deserves being looked at. And I think once
Mm-hmm.
we look at that why, then it gives, looking at the why will give it space for that safe space to be created, because it is a
Mm-hmm.
thing. It is literally a thing, in my
I'm
opinion.
I'm not. I'm not denying that, but that's what
Mhm.
I'm saying. Again, with what you said, the difference between Rachel being angry and Susan being angry, right? Regardless of the reason why, and regardless of all of the things that's happening around, Susan has a safe space of being angry, even though she can be a douchebag in that moment. Like, nobody's asking why. She's just being allowed to throw the tantrum that she wants to throw,
Does
irregardless of what the
Susan have
situation
a
is.
space? Does
Yeah,
Susan have a space? I think
absolutely.
that's a,
She can free, she freely has the space to be angry, and then the why it's asked afterwards.
I don't think Susan
Rachel, on
has
the
a
other hand,
space. I don't
I
think Susan
do.
has a space.
I
I think
absolutely do.
Susan, I think Susan has to, that's why she's passive aggressive and that's why she cries. Because if she shows that she is angry, she will look like a hysterical woman to white men.
I disagree wholeheartedly because I have worked with women who have yelled, who have screamed, who has had nervous breakdowns, whatever you want to call it, right? No one has bat an eyelid. They can be upset with Susan the next day, the next week. She could be the topic of discussion at the water cooler, but she is given that space to rant, to do what it is that she needs to do in order for her to feel better, whatever it is, right?
Okay. I've
But
always seen
me
that
or someone
display
else in
as
that,
crying in the
okay,
workplace.
maybe
I've
it's
always
too,
seen, it as, I remember a white woman, I said, well, what happened, in that meeting? She said she started crying. I was beside myself because I couldn't imagine
oh my
crying.
gosh,
She
are
started
you kidding
crying.
me?
I was like,
But this is the
crying?
thing. Maybe they're two sides. Maybe there's two sides of the same coin. There's two sides of the same person, right? Because I don't think anybody is what do you call it? Everybody's multifaceted, right? We're
Mm-hmm,
not just one dimensional, right?
mm-hmm.
I've had women shut it down enough, yelling across the table, telling you to know your place, telling
With
you this is what we're
different
talking
types
about.
of
This,
genders around and races?
yeah,
I haven't seen that too
yeah,
much.
right.
I haven't seen that too
And
much.
again, I'm well coming from across the pond, right?
Right,
Maybe the situation is completely
right,
different. So we need
right.
to really
Yeah, to keep
highlight
that in
that
mind.
that we're
Yes,
talking, yeah, that we're talking from different communities, from different
yes,
backgrounds, different
yes.
environments as well.
Mm-hmm,
That's what I've seen. I haven't, and I've had female bosses as well. That's
mm-hmm.
another thing. I've had female bosses who they don't give a flying F, right? They will tell you about yourself. It doesn't matter what the situation is. The people I have seen colleagues cry, but women in position of power with men around, zero F's given. Or even how they approach other people in law enforcement or people in position of power, zero F's given,
Right.
right? Let
That
me even give an
that
example.
yes. But I think
Real
we're
quickly
getting
before we,
away though from the angry black
yes,
woman first, because I want to give
sorry,
us the attention
but
first. Uh-huh.
this is what I'm trying to say is that I believe in that situation, whether you choose to cry, whether you choose to lose your temper, the safe space is created for you to do what it is that's necessary for you in that moment. And then the questions are asked why afterwards. What I'm saying for the angry black woman, the questions are never asked because first and foremost, she doesn't have that safe space to feel how she feels. And then we can go, hey, Rachel, hey, Grace, why is it that you're losing your temper? Why is it that you're angry? Why is it you feel that way? Which I agree with you. There is an angry black woman, but the problem is there is no safe space for that. And it becomes a taboo because when you see it, it's like, oh, gasp, what's going on? Why is she pissed? Why is she mad? Clearly she's insane. She's hysterical. That's what I'm trying to say. And that's where I would um, focus my attention on personally for me as to why is it we have an angry black woman in the space that she actually needs.
Right.
That's what I
So,
would say.
which is why I posed the question, why? All right. So, these are my opinions as to where and why the angry black woman has been created. And I made a list because a sister's short-term memory is not the best. So,
Yeah.
yes, we do have reasons. Why? I'm going to go ahead and say it.
Do it.
Slavery is one of the reasons why. And I will get into every single one of these. Childhood.
Okay.
How we see anger displayed, how we are treated, how people take advantage, and parents themselves being angry and tired. So, angry Black woman, number one, slavery. Although, like, there are so many different things to tackle, and I'm just really going to try to keep it clean and linear as much as I can. Our history, of course, does not start at slavery, and your history has nothing to do with slavery.
Yeah.
So I should actually say colonialism. You know, like
Yes, I was about to say.
that would
Yeah,
like encapsulate
that's
everything.
its genesis,
Yes,
literally prior
colonialism,
to that, I would
because
say.
the distinction is, and I actually like this. I am Haitian, First Black Republic, of course.
Yeah.
But Grace is from the Congo, which
Yep.
I love this
DRC.
reminder of Africans who were never enslaved, but who has colonialism not touched?
Yeah.
Everybody,
I'm
colonialism
telling
is
you,
touched.
it's
Yeah.
that's what I'm saying though, Rachel. You've hit the nail on the head because this is what I'm learning now.
Hmm.
And I think it's great for both of us, right?
Hmm.
You being Haitian, but you living and being raised in the States.
Hmm.
Me being Congolese, living and being raised in the UK.
Hmm.
A lot of the times we speak of that history, right? Of African American history, which isn't bad because that's where you've grown up, or
Hmm.
British history
Hmm.
and its impact on African countries. But at the same time, we're also bringing our own experiences from back home, right?
Absolutely.
Being Haitian and being Congolese, and
Right.
also how that impacts us as
Right.
individuals and people of um, our, our natives, right?
Right. Right.
And I think that's very interesting. That's important for us to kind of have the balance of the two,
Right.
because there's like 4 points of view currently on the table,
Right.
as opposed to
There's
two.
so many. Yeah, it's true. It's true. So
Yeah.
colonialism, where that affects a Black woman specifically. So
Yeah.
there's slavery where
Hmm.
Black women were raped, put in
Hmm.
positions where separated from children, separated from
Hmm.
spouses, separated
Hmm.
from family members, separated from safety, where colonialism is concerned. Uh, Maybe not slavery, but a concept of you're not good enough, your culture is not good enough, you need to change in order to fit the status quo. Go ahead, Grace, you look like you want to say something.
What I wanted to say first and foremost is the idea of you are a savage and we want to teach you how to be civilized.
Right.
That's what it's essentially it is.
Right.
I'm coming
Not
from
good
a
enough.
place of, yeah, you're not good enough, you're a savage, and we need to be able to civilize you by teaching you about our culture and who we are in order for you. And even then, when we have to do all of these things, you're still not civilized enough because you will always be a savage, which is a double-edged sword,
Yeah,
in my
you're
opinion,
Black.
right?
You Black.
You're,
You
yeah,
you ain't never getting it
exactly,
right.
exactly.
Yeah.
And
We
on
gonna
top of
try,
that,
but you a lost cause.
and on top of that, what Rachel was saying about women being raped, that was the same situation with colonialism.
Right.
Yeah, you're a savage or whatever, but women were still being raped.
Right.
Women would still be impregnated. And this is the thing, it's like, um, I don't want to go off topic too much, but there's still places in Africa where within every country in Africa, you'll see different tribes where they are all really fair skinned, if not looking mixed, because that's the area where the Brits or the Dutch or all of the Europeans basically settled and basically had wenches or had mistresses. I doubt they would call them even mistresses because they were
Right.
lower than that in their
Right.
opinion, right?
Right.
And they will literally breed children, more and more children. Some of their children they will sell into slavery themselves, or all of these different things. It was just that these people were not taken out of their country.
Right.
All of it was being done nationally or locally to that area.
Right.
That's all I wanted to add to that.
Yeah.
Please continue, Rachel.
So you've got the not enoughness. You also have the separation of spouses from each other. And what this created, was really more of a pressure on the women to be protectors of the family and to be mother and father, protectors of
Providers.
themselves. Yeah, providers, and to keep them and their children from safety. So what I'm describing here, I think I'm coming to, is a transference of role, like of the role of the woman, of the Black woman. And a lot of it in colonialism has, what it has resulted in is a woman having to protect herself as much as possible, where it would be for a man to be able to do that. Man is stronger. A man is more so designed in this area, but not to say that a woman can't, but it's an overcompensation, and it's not something that we're naturally focused on doing in the long term. So when overcompensation comes into play, so I would say, like, say I have two legs, one is injured. When one is injured, the other is going to take more of a brunt, and can for a while, but over a while, the stronger leg becomes damaged or has to adapt to carrying the entire body. And that's what I would say what has happened where colonialism is concerned with a Black woman. We've had to overcompensate, and it's not a position that is naturally ours, that belongs to us, that we even want. But to survive, we've had to do that. And there are repercussions within ourselves and in society for that. I don't know if you want to add anything more, Grace.
I just think it's funny because, like, nowadays everybody's going to start yelling and screaming at you, Rachel. Like, like, based on what you said about men, it's their role to be protectors and providers. Nowadays, people are going to be like, women can do that too. That's not,
Yes, I know we can, and I
people
said
will
that.
go mad.
I
No,
said
but I'm
that we
saying, like,
can do that. Not you.
but I find it interesting that allowing a man to be a man is now sometimes problematic, and we're not talking about toxic masculinity. That's not what we mean here. What we mean is really allowing a man to be responsible and be the carer, the provider, to be that figurehead of a family, where it's not like you're taking away from the woman, but for me, you're enhancing that woman, you're adding to that woman, you're adding to that family. What I find is that it's not just compensating for the Black woman. No woman wants to, as much as you can say whatever, I don't think anyone wants to overcompensate by being everything to everyone, to her family, to no woman wants that position, in my
That's
opinion.
by definition overcompensating. Anybody who has to do everything is an overcompensation.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And that isn't internalized. And I think Rachel hit the point there, where if your mom had to do that and you watched her do that, and then you're put in a position to do that, you naturally take on the role. And sometimes you don't even have to, but because you've seen your mom do it, and it seemed like she did it well, you say, if my mom can do it, I can do it. When it doesn't mean you should be in that position.
But who can teach us that? Like, if you've seen something is done, it looks like it's a natural thing to do. So that is something you will emulate and display yourself. It's a natural, even though it's not a natural development, after a while you're seeing it, that is how you're going to do. Mostly that's how we learn. I'm sorry, Grace, I cut right up.
No. Also, no, you were saying colonialism, society, all of these different points that you was adding on to that, like what has made the Black woman angry, not having that partner and all the different things. But just in society alone, I think we've had so much burden put on us, responsibility put on us. I feel like nobody projected onto more than a Black woman, in my opinion.
Say that again.
The projection, sometimes being projected on, right? Where it's like, Rachel, you can be my advisor, you can be my comforter, you can be my warrior, you can be the one who fights for me, you can be my defender. Rachel, you can be the one who helps me with this. You could, like, constantly being projected on, constantly having to take on other people's shit, essentially, right? And being, I don't think we are okay with it, but just taking it on.
Yeah, because it's like it hasn't been questioned. It's like, oh, I'm supposed to do it then.
Absolutely. Because I don't think in my mind I've ever said, I like this. I've never felt like, oh, this is right for me, I like this. No, it's, there's pressure, there's angst, there's strain, feeling a burden, feeling alone, feeling depressed, feeling worried, always looking, over your shoulder thinking, okay, like, what's next? Right? I feel like that in itself is the most harmful thing that a Black woman can experience in this modern age, or all throughout time, where it's like people constantly telling you who you are and you not having your own voice, constantly telling you how you should behave, as if you don't have your own actions, and constantly telling you where you should go, what you should do. Like, everybody has a say but you, right? And as much as people can say that you're bound, I feel like the Black woman is bound, like, vocally, physically, everything. Vocally, you're silent, you say nothing.
It's true,
right? That's what stands out to me the most, and that's, for me, based on my own experience and based on everything that you've touched upon, that's been my frustration the most as a Black woman. And my the root of my anger is not having a voice. And we can talk about anger later, but really having that feeling of, I'm stuck, and I can scream, I can yell, I can shout, but nobody is hearing me, nobody is listening. That's where my anger comes from. And most of the times, that's when I've been the most angry, when people are looking at me like, you're wild, you're insane, she's crazy. No, I've said this so many times before. You wasn't listening, you didn't want to hear me, you didn't want to understand. And I think that goes back from way back. Like, I really do believe that, where you're constantly moving ahead, told to do this, right? Work harder, whether it be in the plantation fields, whether it be you being a house slave, whether it be all of that stuff. It's about doing, but not having an opinion or speaking. It's about do what you're told, obey, as Richard was saying, obey, being subdued, and someone controlling you, sorry, and you not having that voice and being oppressed.
I agree, Grace. And I think that can be displayed in society today. Like, when you project on children and like they don't get to have a say, children, and I've been in this situation too, where I'm growing up and I'm expecting myself to do certain things that I'm not equipped for, but never knew that I had a voice to say yay or nay to. So imagine something that has been in action for hundreds of thousands of years. This is what we're talking about. I would, well, where the angry woman is concerned, specifically hundreds of years. Yeah. So colonialism. Then you hit upon society. I don't know if you want to go any further into that. Then we've got childhood, how we're raised, how we're seeing our parents do. Being displayed and us taking it on as, this is a natural thing to do because we've seen it.
This is all we know.
Yeah, this is what we know, and we're going to emulate the same. So all of those reasons, like, you create a society then is created of women who are overcompensating, so to speak. I don't know where I want to go with this one, because there is also an aspect for me of angry Black women looking angry in society and being angry amongst our Black men. And that is something that that bothers me as well. You know, where
Do you want to
being
elaborate on that?
so I have had like I had a tough childhood. This will be heard over and over again. I had a tough childhood. So I had to do a lot of taking up for myself. And this is
Mhm,
from the adult level, from my family, from kids at school being made fun of, because I was not slim. So I was made fun of for that. Within my family, I had certain dynamics where I was outcasted. So I had to
mhm,
do a lot of taking up for myself. And how that showed up was anger, you know, like
mhm,
how nobody's there to protect me. And I'm glad I didn't have the spirit of laying down and taking it, because to me that's the only other answer,
yeah,
taking it. So um our men, right? And I'm not going to blame Black men as far as not being able to be there, because just like certain situations and dynamics were placed on Black women, same thing
mhm,
for men, being
mhm,
separated from, families, being
mhm,
a target of
mhm,
violence and being killed for protecting themselves, for protecting them families, and them being removed from being able to
mhm,
protect their families. I'm talking specifically about slavery, but also colonialism, because
mhm,
men are physically stronger and are
mhm,
overall, I wouldn't say every man is stronger than every woman. I'm not going there with that, but overall, as a gender. So if the target has been to annihilate men, then you can subdue the women. And there you've got like a race of people who will listen to you or will be overpowered, because you're
mhm,
taking the legs from underneath us. You're taking our strength
mhm,
away.
mhm,
But with that said, and this is not every single Black man at all,
mhm,
but I feel particularly betrayed
mhm.
to hear Black men say, um,
You're angry.
not only that we're angry, the lack of understanding and the giving up on us,
Mhm. Lack of protection.
the lack of
Um,
protection,
for
that
me,
I
that's
feel
what stood out.
particularly betrayed where that's
Mhm.
concerned, because I would say not every Black woman has been there for
Yeah,
every Black man, but I would say
yeah,
that as far as our brothers are concerned, I have never given up on a brother, like to the point where I am announcing it for them or outsiders to hear. That's not to say I haven't given up on them mentally. That's a whole other
mhm,
subject. But yes,
mhm.
that's what I meant, Grace, if that was clear at all.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with that. And I think the ratio is completely different in comparison to the women who are loyal and haven't given up to on Black men versus Black men who have given up on Black women. Does that make
Mm,
sense?
it does. I don't have the
There's more
specific
of us.
numbers, but it does from what I've
Yeah, we don't
seen.
have the numbers.
Yeah,
Yeah, from what I've seen, that's what I mean in a sense where it's like we're always caping and running after them, defending, and all of these different things. And again, whoever's listening to this podcast, this is not us bashing anybody.
no.
This is not what this is at all.
Mm-mm.
But like Rachel says, it is difficult to see, and it's a tough pill to swallow. You
Yeah,
know, um, when I think a lot of the compensating is to also I feel like for us, Black women, we want to protect everybody.
I
We want to
agree.
have our arms around everybody. And
Yes.
I think the first person on that list is usually Black men, where we
Yeah.
want to caress you and make sure that you're okay and make sure that
Yeah.
everything is fine. And I think what's hurtful to a lot of Black women is that it's never reciprocated.
I wouldn't say never,
not to the
but
same,
overall,
not to the same
yes.
degree.
Yeah.
That was my next point.
Yeah.
Not to the same degree. And I've seen it online for a lot of, I think some women are like, now it's like, okay, whatever. And some women now are still, they still get upset over it. But I think in totality, it is a sore subject, I think, for our community. And it's a tough one. When everything in media society is telling you that you're not good enough, and the one person who could actually, you know, take all of that away and say, actually, you are, and it
Yeah.
means something,
Yeah.
isn't actually saying or
Yeah.
doing that. And I
Yes.
think that's the knife that
Yes.
really twists
Yeah.
with it.
And we're overall taking up for those same people who are not taking up for us. It's like, but
Yeah,
we're doing it.
yeah,
So that is,
wild.
yes. And how I've also seen that displayed, and I may be mixing subjects here, but for me, again, being a strong woman, being a person who was angry and working through honestly what was hurt and betrayal, from my childhood, and not just childhood, the other stuff I've also discussed, on a cellular level. Those are intergenerational issues that are, it's in my system dealing with. But hearing when Black men say, oh, Rachel, you're too strong, or those expectations of yours are too high, I just feel like that is setting me up to look lower or be lower than myself. Um, and I think it has to do with those Black men. They might feel pressured to have to live up to an expectation where they feel they can't. So lowering my expectations or making me feel bad about what it is that I would like is a way to like annihilate that, or to, it's a mind F is what I'm saying, basically.
But Rachel,
Uh-huh.
what you touched upon something really important there that kind of stood out to me is like, if someone wasn't given that opportunity to, if you
Mm-hmm.
as a Black woman have always had to overcompensate, and that's always been your role, and with overcompensating you have to work twice as hard, push harder, do everything on your own, right? And then
Mm-hmm.
someone comes up and says you're too strong because they've never been in the same position as you technically, and not saying this is their fault, but they've never had that role, the role that was initially there for them,
Mm-hmm.
that post. They've
Mm-hmm.
never actually had to be in that role for them to know where you're coming from. Is it really their fault? Do you know what I mean? To say,
I
oh, you
wouldn't,
know what, you're too strong or whatever. Have they really been in that position that you've been in?
would I say it's their fault? Not necessarily, but taking the time out to explain to me
Or to
what
understand?
exactly, not that there's something wrong with me, but
Yeah,
this is, the how it should be, and because of what
yeah,
I've been through, and because of what
yeah,
they've been through, this
yeah,
is the expectation. But at the end of it all, knowing that we're both trying to take care of each other, because then for me there's a lack of trust there. It's like, are you just telling me that I'm expecting too much so that you're setting me up to expect little, or are we both going to be contented in what it is that we're building? So does that make sense? Because now I feel like I'm going
that makes sense. That makes sense. But at the same time, I think what
uh-huh.
comes before you two looking after each other comes healing. I think that's what we don't talk about a lot in the Black community or African community or African American community or any type of Black diaspora, right? We don't do
Agreed.
healing.
No.
We do
So
not
it's
heal. There is
instead,
no
it's in,
way. Yeah.
uh-huh. Go ahead. Go ahead, go ahead, go
No,
ahead.
please go. No, no,
And I was gonna say,
no.
instead of, this is wrong, this is like, you're too strong,
Yeah,
you're too this, you're too that.
yeah,
That
yeah,
explanation is where the healing would come from, because I would get a
yeah,
different type of perspective. And because
Yeah.
so again, if you have been raised to have a certain set of
Yeah.
expectations, you don't know
Yes.
that your expectations are too high or too low. It's what you know. So to
Yeah.
have that discourse, that conversation, the understanding, that is a lot of what. No, you're right, Grace. It's we don't have a lot of it in the Black community. It's
Yeah.
what I've been begging
Yeah.
for, and I'm starting to get it now. But it's like, how can we have these conversations? Can we have
We
these
never do.
conversations so that we
I'm
can
telling you.
understand the reason why? Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
That's, for me, that's the biggest issue.
Yeah,
Lack of communication and lack of understanding, and the inability to want to heal, not just together, but individually,
yeah,
looking within and saying, hey, how can I be not just a partner to someone, but how can I be, and again, not who they want me to be,
right.
how can I be what they need, you know? And what we need isn't always what we want. But how
And
can I be what
and
this person needs? Yeah.
and also I think number one, how can I be the healthy person for myself?
So
How have I
yeah.
been damaged by
Mhm,
what society, what history,
mhm,
what I've been
mhm,
told? Like
mhm,
how can I heal to be my own best self, and also admit that I haven't been the best. I have made
mhm,
mistakes. I have
mhm,
messed up others, messed up myself
mhm.
by, these behaviors. No blame, just a transparent
Acknowledgement.
honesty. Yes.
Yes, acknowledgement. That's what it is.
Yeah.
So these situations, when someone says to you, and this is us talking about a black man or a black woman types of relationship, where it's like, hey, Rachel, you're too strong with this. Because I've heard that countless times. I haven't heard standards too high, but for me, it's always the same thing. You're too strong. You're too
Mm-hmm.
strong. You're too.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes I think people are trying to say it in a positive way, but it doesn't.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it doesn't feel like that to
Because it
me.
dehumanizes. I become not a human.
Yeah,
I'm just
because
strong.
you cannot be vulnerable. That's what I'm saying. It takes
Correct.
a
Yes.
community and virtue of that. Like, and when
Yes.
people cry, they go, "Oh my gosh, why are you crying?" Or when
Like
people see you
seriously,
with
I'm a human being.
like
That's why I'm freaking crying. Now I'm gonna
literally,
get angry about your damn crying question.
for sure, I lose my mind. But this is what I'm trying to say. The you're strong trope that really annoys me,
Me
because I feel
too.
like every single black person has heard this from the moment they've come out of the freaking womb. What do you do in these situations, though? Especially hearing it from someone who looks like you. This is not
Yes.
someone on the outside. This is someone who looks
On
like
the
you, someone from your
inside.
clan, on the inside.
Yes.
Like, what do you do? How do you respond to that without being, in their mind, why are you getting angry?
You're
Why are you
right.
mad? Like, what do you do? That's
Yeah.
tough, man. That's
And
rough.
then, also there's angry black woman. There's also the stereotype of angry black man. So how are
Mhm.
you hitting me up with a stereotype that's got you too, bruh? Like,
Because I think our one is more prevalent more than that. I think the angry black woman is more prevalent than the angry black man.
the angry black woman is probably more prevalent because we're allowed to be alive. That's what
True.
I think. Because
Yeah.
angry black man is a thing, but how is that handled? Unfortunately, black men are abused and killed. That's how
Mm-hmm.
that's being handled, in
Mm-hmm.
my opinion. Overall, it's a angry black man in like a corporate environment. That is career suicide if you're looked at
Non-existent.
as an angry black man. Exactly. So how am I? It's like these. This is how I can describe it, and I've heard it before. So say society is like the parents, right? Who has
Mm-hmm.
mistreated the black
Mm-hmm.
children. Now the black
Mm-hmm.
children, because we haven't, most overall, we don't know any better. There are some of us who are quote unquote woke, but instead of helping each other to cope in an unhealthy environment, we've now turned on each other.
Divide and conquer. That's how it works, though.
Yeah. And overall, you'll have some people who can see what's going on, but most people are just going to take out their hurt and anger on each other. So here we are by society, we've been othered, and we're now othering each other. Son. So yes, there is a level for me of betrayal there, and it is not my desire. I'm going to speak for myself, and not every Black woman, but I know others can relate. It's not my desire to have everything on my shoulders. I don't want it. I haven't known any other way. Now, I've been married and I've been breadwinner. I've been breadwinner as a girlfriend, and both of these were Black men. So to me, being told you're too strong, or you're angry, or whatever it is, stop putting this shit on my plate then. Because all of this has been put on my plate and I have been expected to carry and not be angry. Do you know how much I hate being the breadwinner? And it's not because my man is, for a certain time period, not on his feet. I've been the breadwinner overall in the relationship. And that is not my role, I believe. You know, like, I am to contribute in many different ways for myself as well. And what having to overcompensate for another human being, it has taken away the ability for me to heal on my own, and for me to be there for myself. So yeah, if you're expecting not to have an angry Black woman, allow me to be able to do my thing too. Yeah. Yeah, go ahead.
Wow. That
Man,
was like
I know I had all of this in my system.
I think we also need to normalize Black women living their best life, in a sense where I think I saw someone says, like, why is it that it's almost like luxury isn't for us, it's unattainable for us. Living our best life is unattainable for us. Anything that someone else can have, why is there a limitation in Black women in that case? You can have a 9 to 5, you can have 2 jobs, you can have all of these different things, but you wanting to date a successful man who made 6 figures or whatever, that's not for you, that's for someone else. Or being with someone who is struggling, and then where their career pops off, they then dump you and marry someone else, and then that's where you stop. That's not for you. You don't reap the benefits of that. And I'm going to say benefits, because a lot of the time people like to say, hey, you're a gold digger, hey, you're this is it. No, if I've been with you for a certain amount of time, and I've been with you through thick and thin, you've done all of these things, and I've been the backbone pushing you, celebrating you, doing whatever, and then when you finally make it, you cut me off, and then you basically date someone else or marry someone else or whatever, why shouldn't I reap the benefit for that? Because I've seen a lot of the time we get cut off from that. It's almost like, if you are going to live the life that you want, only you can create that for yourself, right? It's almost like, for the Black woman, it's only you. You have to be the one who makes your life a reality, your dreams a reality, what you want a reality, whereas anyone else can benefit from the people who they have helped, or benefit from the relationships that they're in, or benefit from all of that. But you have to be at the bottom of everything. Why is that?
I've definitely had these high expectations that I have taken in, as far as, me needing to be the person who gets myself to
where you need to be, right? What that promotion,
not
you
to
have to
say,
what it's like.
I had to say, I did get, like, with ex-husband, ex-boyfriend, there were additions to my life that were that did help me, to understand I guess, life more and be able to elevate myself. I did get that. I wouldn't say I did not get that, but
But
on
overall,
a
though, that's
high
what I'm
level,
saying.
yeah, on a high, like overall, it's like I'm the one who's being leaned on. And
That's what I'm saying.
when I lean and when I try to lean, and there's something I do want to handle because I don't want this conversation to be unbalanced. And right now we're focusing on something and not the other thing. So I want to mention that. When I lean in a way, the best way that I know how, it's not necessarily the healthiest way, but me crying out for help, um, I don't get what it is that I need, but I do have an understanding now. It's because I didn't know how to ask for help in a way in which it be received and heard as help.
Mhm,
Um, because I also wasn't dealing with men who had that type of intuitive understanding,
mhm,
but it also wasn't their responsibility. So let me just say this: angry Black woman, yes, hundreds of years, yes, we listed the reasons. I am not, however, saying that it is responsibility of anyone other than ourselves, mostly ourselves, to help us heal from this affliction. Not only ourselves, but there is an importance of being honest about the situation, you know, it has manifested into, and how do we heal from it. um that there's a lot of responsibility on us. I'm not expecting, you know, the Black man or the white anything or the any other body to mostly help me come out of this. um I don't know if I'm expecting, but allyship would be important. And that's the whole reason for the why, understanding why a person acts the way that they do. But it is ultimately not anybody else's responsibility to get ourselves better. So I'm not saying that. Um, but understanding, yes, is important. And also, when you've experienced trauma, any type of person who's experienced trauma, the actions to come out of it is not always the healthiest. You know, you experience trauma as a kid, you take drugs. I mean, there are all of these ways to run away from the pain, which is what a lot of us do. And this conversation is more of a focus to not run out of the pain, but to understand the pain and then ultimately how to heal the pain, but also be able to express it to others so that others may understand. Because a lot of people say, like, especially when it comes to Black issues, it's not my job to make other people understand, especially the white people. And I'm not saying it's your job, but if people are coming from different perspectives, then yeah, there's a certain level of expectation for us to do some explaining. Um, then we can like direct you towards resources and direct you towards your God and towards your inner self. But there is some responsibility for us to do some explaining so that you may also understand. I went on a whole rant. I don't even know what I'm saying no more. Great.
what I wanted to ask you is, how can a Black woman be heard? That's essentially what it is, because we've identified the why. We've
Mhm.
identified where that comes from and the things that hurt us. And obviously it would be nice to have the safe space to feel that way. And but how can we be heard? Because this is coming from a place of Rachel and I both working in corporate environments. Rachel
Mhm.
and I experiencing the most toxic behaviors and
Mhm.
constantly having your back against the wall, where it's like everybody can say their piece but you. And if you say your piece, everybody gets offended. If
Mhm.
you say your point of view, it's an issue.
Mhm.
Trying to navigate yourself in really sticky situations, in places where it's like you have to tread carefully and you have to walk on eggshells, where You're protecting your sanity, protecting your job, protecting your well-being, protecting yourself in every possible way, and still taking everything upon yourself. How can we be heard, not just in the work environment, but in all spaces when there is that angry Black woman inside of us that's just dying to come out? How do you deal with that?
Okay, there are several ways. How is the question? How can we? How can we? Yeah, but it's more of how can we have others understand so that we're heard, or how can we set up the environment so that we're heard? Because there are two. Those are two different things.
I don't think it's our responsibility to set up the environment.
Okay.
I believe is our I think it's our responsibility in how we communicate, in how we dialogue with others. But I don't think we have control in setting up the environment, in other people understanding us or finding the right people. I think that's out of our control. However, the places where we have been put, or the setting that we're in, I think when issues and situations occur, there has to be a way of us to articulate ourselves where there is some kind of understanding. And I'm not talking about people who choose not to understand us, because they're always going to be people like that. But really trying to communicate in a way where it's like, look, this is how I feel. This is what's going on with me. And like you said about allyship, how to those people to truly understand what is the situation going on with us.
Okay, so for me, how I've done in the workplace is I always speak up. It doesn't matter, like if I think it's something important enough, I always speak up. And it's important for me to know that not only do I speak up, I'm prepared to have difficult dialogue. I'm prepared for it. I'm prepared to go the long route and not be yelling and screaming and losing my patience. I'm prepared for that. So I think with that setup of me really trying to understand, then I'm able to see what's going on when I have a long conversation. And I'm prepared for whatever comes my way, I'm able to see where another person is coming from and discern, are they trying to hear me, or are they trying to serve me, something that isn't genuine? So yes, to be heard for me is be prepared for the long run, or, going the long route, and to understand whether or not it's an environment that you're trying to be heard or not heard. I
And when you're not
pretty
heard,
much think I'm sorry, say that again.
And when you're not heard,
and when I'm not heard,
like
when I'm not heard, for me, that's my power. I'm like, okay, I understand. What do I do? Because like you said, it's not my job to make you hear me. My job is to speak. So, and I've done that. You have all of the ammunition you need to make the right moves. And if you don't, I have a power to be gone. And that's what I do. I be out. It is, I don't have to make you hear me. But, I'm going to say what I need to say, and I'm not going to be nasty, and I'm not going to roll my neck. I do like to roll my neck. I'm not going to roll my neck.
We all do. I think that's what we struggle with.
I'm not
rolling
going to do
our eyes and rolling our necks, I'm think is an innate thing.
None of that. But once I'm done, because this is important and you did not hear me, I am out. And I'm not out in a nasty way either. I am setting up like my blueprint of how I'm going to be out there in a world or someplace where I am appreciated. And that's what I do. That's it. That's it. Go ahead.
Sorry. No, I'm saying that I would like every single person listening to this podcast to comment how many times do they roll their eyes and smack their neck in certain settings, and how much has that gotten them in
Yo,
trouble?
I
I think that would
love
be
a roll
hilarious.
neck.
But yeah, I think it doesn't matter where you're from, like rolling your eyes is. Do you know how many times I got in trouble in the workplace for rolling my eyes?
Oh, I
And
don't roll. I don't
tutting,
do
that's
that.
another thing.
Nah, son. But that's
Just doing that.
disrespectful, to be honest.
Really?
Yes,
I
I've
was
had
0
conversations. I remember my ex-husband used to do that. How are you rolling your eyes and I'm having a serious discussion with you? That's disrespectful as hell.
Bro, tutting, rolling your eyes,
Nah,
smacking your
son.
neck.
Nah. That is unacceptable when we're having a serious discussion, because to me what you're telling me is you are dismissing me when you roll your eyes at me.
Yes,
and you
I
kiss
am.
your teeth.
Yes, I am.
Yeah, and
yes,
then I
in
can't.
a work environment, listen, in a work environment, when I've said all my P's and I'm frustrated and I've said to you time and time again, and then you find it like, hey, let's, and I'm at that point, no, I'm done. Literally, if you
I don't do that.
Like I'm done.
I ain't rolling my eyes. My roll eyes is I'm out. I'm out, because I just think that as far as, and this is just me, as far as respect, I am not allowing, because it really, I have the control. And if I'm rolling my eyes and doing my neck, it's because I don't want to hold back my show of contempt. And I'm not doing that. Yeah.
Absolutely. You've hit the nail on the head. I think that's it. I think that's another thing that I think Black women struggle with. I think it's our self-control. I think we struggle with that a lot more so than anyone. I feel what I have found in the work environment for me, that it especially in the corporate environment, I found that Black men are more patient in those environments than Black women are.
They're not more
the
patient.
people that I've worked with.
They're not more patient.
In my opinion, I really do. I believe
think
in the
it's that
same
they're
space.
more like, they are more disciplined in holding back the reaction.
Yeah,
I don't think that makes them more patient. I don't think
it is. In order for you to have discipline like that, you still need to be patient.
I don't, but like you said, they're more patient. To me, how I hear that is they have more of an understanding, like their feeling is more patient. I don't think so. I think you can be lit up.
Hold on.
Nah, you can be pissed as hell and not roll your eyes. I have been pissed as hell and like held back my physical reaction. That doesn't make the person who's rolling their eyes more pissed off than me. That makes the person,
But that doesn't, having patience, that doesn't mean they're more pissed off than you. If I have less patience than you, it doesn't mean I'm more pissed off than you. I'm just less patient. Do you know what I mean? It doesn't mean I'm more angry. I've just had less patience than you. You can be more angry than me, but I don't have the patience. Patience means like, all right, I'm done. It doesn't mean I'm more angry than you. It's just like, okay, I'm not going to wait for this.
Okay,
I'm not going to do this.
I will accept that.
They're two separate things. Do you know what I mean? So that's what I'm trying to say. If you are disciplined enough to be like, all right, I'm not going to roll my eyes and I'm not going to do anything, that it takes patience to do that. Doesn't mean that you're less angry. It takes patience for you to be like, you know what? Nah, not today. They're not going to get me today. I'm going to be in my court. I'm going to be fine, right? But for the other person to be rolling their eyes or whatever, it doesn't mean they're more angry. It just means, nah, whatever that's in me that can allow me to be like, all right, cool. It's like, I don't have the time for that. It doesn't mean I'm more angry. Okay. It just means I don't have the time. I'm not going to wait. I don't have the discipline. I don't care. And that's what it is. Like you said, it's that contentment of like, I do not give a flying F. I do not care in this moment in time. It doesn't mean I'm more angry. It just means that's it. I'm done. Okay. Right? I have found, in that moment, Black men are better than that. Like every single workplace that I've been in, or every time there's been conflict, the people who are just let it rip have been women. Black women, I think it's because as opposed to Black men
are taught to suppress a lot of themselves anyway. So that
could be a reason. That could be a reason. But I think they're definitely better than that than we are. You know, I think
not me, so to speak. But yes. Not me, because I
We're
had
taking
to
everything
learn.
personal.
Honestly, I had to learn. So I've been
Not
around
you,
Black men who were
Rachel.
pissed and could not could not hold their self back.
Rachel.
So
Not
I
you,
get
Rachel,
it.
but
Yeah.
I'm saying in that environment, in a sense where we are vocal, we've always been more vocal, like generally, you are
Because
going to say and speak your
we're
mind
allowed
more
to
than,
be.
yeah. But
Yeah.
that's what I'm saying. So that patience is still there. And that's not me saying that you're less angry. It's just
Mhm.
saying that you have more discipline and patience than we do.
Right.
And I think that's the place where we struggle as well when it comes to our anger and frustration, where sometimes we don't help ourselves in our own situations
Right.
because we are rolling our eyes,
Yeah.
snapping our neck,
Yeah.
hissing our teeth,
Yeah.
and giving the middle finger, or quitting in the middle of a job and just saying F it, I'm going to go, or whatever it is that
Agreed.
we do, like zero
Or
F
like
giving,
a
like,
woman who is like having, and I'm specifically talking about Black situations here, but it's not
yeah,
only limited to, but like when a
yeah,
woman, a Black woman and a man are having an argument and the woman
yeah.
just acts a damn fool. And it's like, and I've been guilty of
you
this
need
in my
you
young
need to
past. It's like,
elaborate on that.
yo, son, like, okay, you two are having an argument, and like the woman will hit the man, like, son,
Yeah, but
because
that's
you
what I'm
don't think the
saying.
man should react or will react, and that's really taking advantage and is disrespectful and is not right. So
But this is what I'm
we've been
saying. You
allowed,
have
but we've been allowed to, whereas men
we? Or
overall,
have
I think men
we've been
overall
allowed, but
in
we've taken it?
society are suppressed, like their feelings, like you're supposed to be strong and not, and I'm not just saying Black men, not express
Mm-hmm,
yourself. Overall, men, don't cry, don't show
mm-hmm,
no vulnerable
mm-hmm,
feelings, hold your
mm-hmm,
women, we're expected to take the weight. But as far
mm-hmm.
as our
Expressing,
vocals being
yeah.
held back or whatever, no, that hasn't been a thing. But when we do express it, then in a negative way, that's the problem. So
And I
essentially
think
we're being
that's,
taught to suppress too, but we're just not taught how.
yeah, so that's where I find that a lot of issues are for us,
Mhm.
and that could be something that we can tailor or try to figure out in order to position ourselves in a better way.
I
um
would say
in
I've
my
learned
opinion.
this. I've learned how to do
Not
this
everybody
in
has though, because
No,
this is not just about us, like
I'm
anybody
not
else
saying,
listening.
no, I'm not saying that to pat myself on the back. I'm saying because I learned this, I'm trying to think what did I
Mm,
do? I'm
mhm,
posing this out loud question so that I can answer
mhm,
out loud. What did I do in order to tame my
mhm,
reactions? Because
mhm.
it's not my feeling. My feelings have never gone away. But how do I
Yeah,
not roll my eyes at work?
yeah.
By knowing
Not
that
just
I'm,
work. No, Rachel,
no,
not
I know
just
we're
work.
not just
This
talking
is
about
in any
work.
environment.
I'm not
Yeah,
saying just at work. But
yeah.
this is how I'm looking at it to
Okay.
try to articulate a
Yeah,
solution, the solution that I've come up with. And it's not,
yeah.
obviously, I'm not perfect at it. Not obviously, but I'm saying for myself, I'm not perfect at it. But over the years, what I've learned is it's more important. I'm more interested in the end result than my feelings getting
In the moment.
assuaged. So so it makes me look at the long game. So
Hmm.
and I believe that if I'm having a conversation with somebody who is as invested as finding out the truth, it'll come out in the conversation, but I have to let the conversation play out. I have to,
Hmm.
because then
Hmm.
I'm not going to get what it is that I really want. So
Hmm.
my focus now is on getting what I want out of the conversation. And that allows me not to act the fool, because I know if somebody's coming at me crazy, as as good intentioned I can be,
Hmm.
my patience is going to be limited, and I'm not going to want a relationship with a person who cannot express themselves in a way that is respectful to me. I want to be respected, and I want the other person to feel respected. So these are the types of things that tame my reaction. Like the roll in the eyes shit. I'm telling you, that's a way. I will not have a conversation with somebody that does that to me. Even as sorry, if I did something to them, I'm sorry, and I let them know, hey, you know, I'm sorry. I would like to make it up. You know, rolling your eyes at me and sucking your teeth to me tells me that you're going to be a disrespectful human being. So for me, I wouldn't want a relationship with that type of person. Do I want to be ostracized from others because I'm not controlling a reaction that is disrespectful, that even I deem disrespectful? Those are the things I think of. And I guess that's essentially treat others as I want to be treated. That helps me to contain those impulses, because those they're impulses. And if you're not able to control your impulses on you know, with conflict, then to me that gives a window of what it would mean to have a relationship with you, you know? Yeah.
So that's what you would do in terms of playing the long game. That's basically
Playing the long game. Yes, I'm like, I don't want to be disrespected. I don't want somebody to that to me is like the worst thing. I don't want to be disrespected, and I don't want to be disrespectful.
But this is the thing that I find interesting, that disrespect comes in so many different forms. And I find it interesting because people say, I don't want to be disrespected in this way because that's what you deem to be disrespectful. And there's people that find other things being disrespectful that, you know, we might do that we don't consider to be as disrespectful. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
Does that make sense?
But then right? It would be like a discussion, right? Like, please
well,
don't
it depends
do that
on the
to me. I don't find that respectful.
But this is what I'm saying, right? You get to a point where if you get to a point where you're talking to someone and they don't care that they are disrespecting you, right? They don't care after you've spoken, whatever, right?
Yeah.
That's what I mean, right? I think there's certain times where everybody has their limit. Some people, their limit is, I'm rolling my eyes because I know I'm already going to be out of here. I'm rolling my eyes and kissing my teeth because I'm out. Yeah. There's some people, their reaction is going to be, there's people who actually physically fight people because they feel disrespected, which I have seen as well, like, which is crazy to me. And to me, that's my whole thing of like, what? Like, you want me to physically fight you? That's nuts. I'm not going to fight you. But there's people, that's how they feel like, you know what, you disrespected me and this is how it's going to go down, right? We're all individuals, and that doesn't mean it's okay. I'm not saying any of these things are okay, but I'm saying that everybody has their own limits and everybody has ways in how they respond. It's about trying to find a happy medium of being able to express yourself, but at the same time, create a space where you are being heard, whether that person wants to hear you or not, but you are being heard and allowed to feel the way you feel in that moment.
And for me, that means use your words. Use your words. Do not use your face, your hands, your tongue, use your words. Because if you're anything else that you're doing is only going to make the situation more difficult. Use your words, and also your tone. Tone can be disrespectful. Tone can be disrespectful.
What I wanted to say. Oh my gosh. Let me just say, everybody who's listening to this, because as much as we're saying, hey, we usually would hear in society saying, hey, why are you so angry? Why are you so angry? I think another word that people use to, well, I consider to be code is attitude, right? And that's what we get a lot of the time, being a Black person.
That's true.
Her attitude.
You got an attitude, like,
you have an attitude. Her attitude
of non-gratitude.
She had to go there.
Yeah.
But it's the word attitude is usually associated
so
with
true
us as well. instead of saying, hey, you're angry. I think some people are very cognizant of the word angry in association with, they
Yeah.
usually just gravitate towards
You're so
your
right.
attitude.
You're so right.
Right. And a lot of people miss that. I find a lot of people miss that when someone says, hey, you know, I think you need to have a more, whatever the adjective is, attitude, whether it be in the workplace, whether it be in a group setting, whether it be a social setting or whatever, right? And I think tonality, which is what Rachel is talking about, goes alongside attitude. How do you sound, and what is your tone, and your inflections and words and everything that you use, that will kind of reveal the stance that you have in that moment in time, the attitude that you have that in that moment in time, right? So yeah, you can elaborate on that. Sorry, I literally
I think that's a great that you emphasize that too, because I was watching this thing on YouTube where a woman was saying, as far as the stereotype of an angry Black woman, when she said, well, am I raising my voice? And am I using expletives? I'm like, son, do you know how angry you can show yourself to be without raising your voice, without cursing? And it's your tone. Yo, you could be saying the right words, all the right words. You could be saying something nice in a nasty tone, and it gives completely different context.
This is what I was saying to you though, Rachel. Even using your words, you can still be disrespectful. That's why
I said use your words and watch your tone. Watch your tone. Yo, tone is something that could make me want to fight. Yo, I have heard some tones. Yo, I have had some tones that have pissed me off.
Yo, I look.
Watch your tone.
I think sometimes, like, I think that's a really.
How do I feel about tone? There. I'm sorry.
Literally, like, no, but that's a sticky situation, because sometimes I feel like you can try as hard as you can to watch your tone, but sometimes the anger seeps through a little bit. Sometimes it's like, even in emails, you know, have you ever had that? Someone sends you an email, you can sense the tone of that email, and it's like, absolutely. Hold on, you're being a bit spicy today. What's that all about?
But it's don't think so. So I think it's important not to mask. Like, you don't want to like mask or pretend that you're not feeling uneasy or upset or anything like that. But as far as the contempt, I think that's the part that becomes a problem. When there's contempt, there's sarcasm, there's dripping with that type of stuff is what is the piss off. And I've heard I remember I watched Iyanla a lot, and I remember this woman, she was trying to help, and this woman was she was like, am I being disrespectful? No, I'm not. Like that extra sweet tone to a situation that is clearly an angry one. Like, don't gaslight me with your tone either. If that makes any sense, Grace. I don't know if that, like, I don't know if that made sense.
Okay, so let's talk about this. Why is it then watching your tone for us is a hypersensitive situation in comparison to our counterparts? Why is that?
Maybe the tone. I think we've been suppressed in so many ways. Like, I think it's a powerless thing, or feeling powerlessness. So, so to speak, you've taken our autonomy to be able to make money. You've taken, like, we can't live where we want to. We can't be what we want to. We can't. So how the hell are we going to be able to express? And that's the bit of power that we have is
fire coming out of the mouth.
Yes. I've experienced it even with Black women, like with my mother or with my grandmother. I would say more so with my grandmother, because she grew she was in a household where she was abused domestically by her husband. So he had that power, but her mouth was fire. So I think we as human beings, when we don't have power, we find any way we can to express, because of course we have that feeling, that desire to express, to get it out of us. We like, that's almost like a healing, like we want it out of us. So I do think
I can relate to that.
Huh?
I can relate to that. Like, I don't want the fire to stay within me. I want the fire to come out.
I need it to come out.
Right? It's like an exorcism. Let it out.
Right. So knowing that we have other powers, it's like in the workplace, like I don't have to make you understand. All I have the power to do is say what it is I need to say. My power lies within myself. So it's like, okay, you're not listening. I'm out. When I can be out, I'm out. So I think it has to do with the powerlessness that has been placed on us, or not that we don't have power, but like the societal hierarchy, so to speak. And of course, we're in much better positions now. And these powers that be is not a definition of who we are as humans, as God's children or whatever. But I think you understand what I mean, where it's like societal hierarchy is concerned. We have not been at the top of the damn chain. Although we are powerful human beings, but that hasn't been enforced, so we believe we don't have power. I'm not trying to speak out of both sides of my mouth, but
seeking power when we feel powerless, that goes in every situation. Like, I've had those experiences in personal relationships, romantic relationships, work relationships, all of those different places. I think for us, it becomes more of a necessity. And I'm talking about Black women. It comes more of a necessity because it's us trying to hold on to whatever it is that we can in order for us to stay afloat. For me in particular, that's how I remember feeling, being so frustrated that it was like, by any means necessary, I am going to say my piece. I'm going to show you what it is I'm talking about. And I think what I've learned these last couple of years is what Rachel was saying about, I don't need to make you understand me. I don't need to make you hear. And I remember being young and I was concerned about making people understand, making people see, like it was my duty to change their mind, my duty to see my point of view and understand it. And when I didn't get that, it made me even more frustrated.
I was like that in my marriage. So I can
and
relate.
I was trying to figure out, okay, maybe I didn't communicate correctly. Let me try and figure out another way to communicate or another way to say something.
Right.
And when I exhausted all of those different paths, what happened? The fire came out, where it was like, you will hear me, you will listen, even if you don't like it. When I leave, you will remember me forever because I'm going to burn this place down.
Right.
Which is toxic. And it doesn't help anybody.
It is hurtful to ourselves.
To me, yes, helpful. Hurtful to me first and foremost. But also, it's a stupid thing to do, right? But that was the moment. I think when you get to a certain point, you realize that, all right, I burnt everything down, and it didn't change my situation. I tried to communicate in different ways. It didn't help my situation. So it's not about how I communicate, and it's not about wanting them to understand. It's about me creating an environment for myself. Exactly. It's about me dealing with myself and others in a way where I can be able to be safe, not because they're creating a safe space for me. I've created a safety for myself. Amen to that.
Sister.
I've created a safe space for me. I have made the right decisions for me. And like you said about the long game, nowadays, I never really saw it as the long game. Nowadays, I am planning more than I am just going ahead with things, right? And that doesn't mean your plans will come to pass always the way you want. But
Mhm.
having, like you said, having a long-term plan, knowing where you want to go, doing things intentionally, purposefully. Right, I'm not just going to exhaust myself, exhaust my resources, exhaust
I
everything that I
used to
have,
exhaust
but I'm
myself.
going, but I'm going to take my time and utilize what I have in this area just a little bit, in this area just a little bit,
Because I'm
and get the
thinking
most I
about
can get,
me.
bro. So
Because
this is what we
Black
was talking
women
about.
have been taught to look out for everybody else but us.
Preach
We
on
in
that.
church on this Saturday is what I'm
Yo, I'm telling
saying.
you, this
So
is what we talked about
understanding to
before.
look out
Mm-hmm.
for ourselves. Go on, Grace. Go on, Grace. Pastor
That's what
Grace.
I would say. This is what I would say in terms of how to deal with you not having a voice and you not being able to vocalize yourself, right?
Mm-hmm.
We are constantly giving out to other people.
Mm.
Reel that back.
Reel it
Look within. Reel it back as
inside.
much as you can.
Take
Bro,
that rod
look
back.
within. Look within. No, it's true.
It's
It's
so
absolutely true.
true.
Where it's
So
like,
true.
you need to preserve, and this is the thing that we talked about before. You had to preserve, not just what is it you were saying? You had to be the breadwinner for you, for your family. You always have to look after your kids. You
Mm-hmm.
always have to look after everybody else but
Mm-hmm.
you. But
Mm-hmm.
nothing will come out of anything if you do not do it for
For
yourself first.
yourself,
And
man.
unfortunately, we think that that's selfish, which is
Yeah.
false. And that's what I want
Mm-hmm.
all of our listeners to think. Thinking about you and putting yourself first is considered to be selfish, is considered to be not womanly or motherly if you are a mother,
Mm-hmm.
right? Or
Or
someone who's a
nurturing.
caretaker, right? Or
Mm-hmm.
nurturing,
Mm-hmm.
exactly.
Mm-hmm.
But what I've learned in this moment in time is I've always looked out for every single person but me. I've always done everything, even
Yes.
especially my family
And
members,
that's
my
a whole
friends,
older
people in the
sibling thing
workplace.
too.
Out exactly that,
Mm.
and taking on the burden of being a second parent when
Mm.
you seen your mom be a single mom and
Mm-hmm.
you have to be somewhat of a single parent looking after your siblings and looking after the
Mm-hmm.
household,
Mm-hmm.
right? And then you take on all of that burdens upon yourself. Your friends become a burden, everything becomes a burden to you, right? I've learned after burning everything down and realizing, hey, nothing has changed.
Mm-hmm.
Reel that ish back. People will survive without you. People will
Amen.
not
Because you
die
ain't God.
without you.
You
They
ain't
will be
God. God is
fine. You are,
God.
tell me about it, right? Reel that back, focus on you, and deal with you and your wants and needs and heal yourself.
That
How
you
does
have
that look
been
like? That depends on the individual.
neglecting for years.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead, Grace. Sorry.
Exactly. Yeah, and that looks like whatever it is it looks like to you, that's what it is, because we're all
And it
individuals
takes
and
its
healing is
time. It
different to all
takes
of
its
us.
time to
It takes
develop.
its time. Exactly. But what I have found is we need to be purposeful, we need to be intentional, and we need to preserve ourselves first. It doesn't mean we
Yeah.
don't look after our kids or
Yes.
our husbands or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
You need to look after yourself first, because I tell you this, the one thing I've learned all my life,
Mm-hmm.
people are quick to throw you under the bus as soon as they
Son.
get a chance.
Son.
We being the people that I'm talking, people are
Yeah.
quick to basically leave you, disregard you, betray you, do
Yeah.
everything possible that you will never do, right? And then you
Yeah.
sit back and wonder, wow, I could have been ahead if I had just done this for myself, and everybody's ahead
Yes. I
apart from
have
me.
gone through that.
Bro,
Yes. Yes. And
isn't
I've
that
had
a
to deal
stinger,
with
Rachel?
healing from that.
Oh
Yes.
my gosh, it
Yes.
stings like a mother effer. It
It
really
does. It does.
does.
It really, it does. But it's like, hey, I didn't know any better. I didn't
You
know to look out for
didn't.
myself. And honestly, there is a responsibility too. I have to say, my agenda at
Mm-hmm.
many points for looking out for another was wanting to be praised, and
Mm-hmm.
also fearing that I really couldn't do it for myself anyway. So I'm just going to go and push somebody else so that I don't have to be disappointed.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a level of responsibility that has to be taken when when we take these
Yes.
postures.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. I agree with that. What is the intent behind all of these things
Yes.
that you're doing it
Yes.
for? Like,
Yes.
I'm telling you,
Yep.
And it's been an eye-opener,
Mm-hmm.
Rachel. But this is the thing. How do you get to that point if you're not taking the time for yourself? You will never be able to figure that
You
out.
ain't
You will
never.
never be able,
So where are you
right?
put in
Um,
positions for me, divorce, um,
yes,
having no friends at a certain time, like those are
yes,
blessings because it rips you out of the codependency of looking on
yes,
to others. Like how
yes,
you gonna do this? Now you by
absolutely.
yourself. Now what?
Talk about it. Talk about
Now
it, because a
what?
lot of the times we see that as a negative. That's a
Uh-huh.
negative. God, why have you done this to me? God, why am
Correct.
I here alone? God, he's like,
You need
no,
to,
I'm.
haven't you asked me to develop yourself? Don't you want to do certain things with your life? This is God's voice. Um, I am giving you that time alone that you need. Oh, you don't like what it looked like? No, but that's what it is,
But
though.
this is the thing. He's like, I'm with you doing all of this.
All of
You're
it.
on your own physically, but I'm here, right here, doing all of this for
Yeah.
you. But
It just doesn't look
all
like
that to
how
say,
we expect. Yeah.
it really doesn't. And all that to say, what I'm saying though, Rachel, is that the black woman needs to be more selfish for herself and her own good.
Amen, Grace.
The black
Can you
woman needs
please
to
say it
love
again?
herself. And when I say love, she needs to
Mm,
be more selfish for herself and for her own
mm,
good. She
mm-hmm,
needs to love herself. And when I say love herself, I'm not talking about, hey, it's a selfish thing in a sense where it's like, oh,
mm-mm,
it's superficial or it's this. When I
mm-mm,
say love herself, I'm talking about taking the time to
mm,
teach, to heal, to discipline
mm.
yourself, to prune yourself, to nurture yourself,
That's
to
so
do all of
beautiful.
these things
Yes,
that will help you to grow in order for you
yes,
to be the best that you can be, not just for
yes,
yourself, but for others in the long run.
yes, yes,
That's the only way you are
yes,
going to grow, and that's the only way you are going to elevate you and everybody around you. Amen.
yes. And
Amen.
take care.
Yeah.
Amen. And take care of that hurt, abandoned little Black girl who
Yes.
wasn't getting what she needed.
She needed. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my
That's the only
God.
way you can do that. Yeah.
This is so beautiful.
So
No, seriously, like I don't
it's
know what my
true.
expectations were of this conversation, but like
Yeah.
we went through a roller coaster, but I like how you ended that. Like in order
Yeah.
to end the angry Black
Yeah.
woman, it's for
Yeah.
the woman to be selfish, to take care of herself, to love herself.
Yeah.
And none of this
Yeah.
is with bitterness or anger, like cutting off.
No.
It's with love, with love, with
Yeah.
love.
Mm-hmm.
And that
Mm-hmm.
is
That's the
how
way.
we how do you say,
It's like a cycle.
how we escort the angry Black woman out of her
Mm-hmm.
misery.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my
That's it.
God.
Do you know what's really brilliant about this? We have both, look, for every single person who's listening, Rachel and I have had a similar week in a sense where we have reeled
Back.
everything back. And I feel like
Yeah.
it's full circle by the end of our week,
Yeah.
us kind of coming back to this,
Yeah.
because a lot of the times we just exhaust ourselves,
Yeah.
and taking the time to literally love on ourselves. And I think that's what it really should be. Love on
Yeah.
yourself, shower
Yeah.
yourself with that love where it's like,
Mm.
look, I'm going to be on my own. I'm
Mm-hmm.
going to take time to think, to
Mm-hmm.
write, to
Mm-hmm.
pray, to meditate, to
Yep.
walk, to be in nature,
Yep.
to sleep,
To
to rest, to
connect, to
whatever it
be
is, to
heard,
connect,
to
literally to
yeah.
converse, whatever it may be.
Yeah.
Those things, they are natural to you, but
Yes.
what we do as Black women, we fight against it because society says you are not allowed to have that. It
Yeah.
is not yours, but it's for
Yeah.
everybody else to have, and it's for you to supply to
To
everyone else.
supply it.
Yes,
Yes. Oh
that's
my
what it
God.
is, and that's what we need to start doing. Yeah,
This is
I
so
love it.
beautiful. This came to such a beautiful end. Like my spirit is
Yeah,
filled. Thank you
yeah.
so much, Grace. Oh my
Oh,
God.
thank you,
This was a
Rachel, my darling.
this was a great conversation. And with that, I will
Yeah.
say this has been Rachel.
And this has been Grace.
and find us in a bunch of different places. First of all, hit that subscribe button wherever you're listening
Yes.
on, whether
Yeah.
it's Anchor, if it is what else, YouTube,
Apple
um,
Podcasts,
and
YouTube, Spotify.
Spotify. Yeah. And hit us up on our social medias. We've got
Yes.
the soulspeak_podcast on Instagram.
Mhm.
I am on my
Mhm.
own, doing my own thing too, on the Sassy Rachel on Instagram.
Mhm.
And Grace is on.
Yes, you can find me on Instagram too. My handle is at @the_reading_hideout. I write Kidlit. You can be able to find my work there. And you can also find me on Twitter. My Twitter handle is at Grace_Kugrena. And yeah, you can find me there for any type of discussions. Like we said, sociological discourse. Find us.
That is what we do. We
Yeah.
speak on sociological discourse. Well, it
Yeah.
has been a pleasure. It has been an enlightenment. And see you all next time. Thank you. Bye.
Bye, guys.